The HTC Vive is bad for your health.
Yeah. Have you ever tried playing any of those VR games? Shaky, shaky, shaky. It's terrible.
And you know why it's bad for your health? Because with the Vive, you'll never need to exercise again. You can just have fun in a virtual world and not have to worry about sweating or anything like that. It's so convenient. Thank God they finally made a VR headset that doesn't require any movement at all.
Thank you. Comfort is the most important thing when I buy a VR headset. I get sick just by looking at a PC monitor. The the Vive fits my head perfectly and doesn't force me to exercise in any way. Oh God, if they only made an Xbox controller that's also a chair, so I can just stay seated the whole time.
The Vive isn't just a headset. You get two motion controllers with it. It's like the Wii, but with hands instead of plastic controller. I can't
Wow!
believe Nintendo didn't think of this first.
I thought the Wii was artistic and revolutionary. It should have won all the awards.
God, I feel sick just thinking about it. It feels like someone is shaking me every time I play the game on the Vive. Not only that, but you can't even turn around without getting tangled up in a cable. What kind of design is this?
I know! The Vive uses a link box that you have to connect to your PC so you can use it. It's like a triple monitor setup, except instead of having three monitors that are each 2 feet away from you, you have one monitor that's 2 feet away from you, and then two other monitors that are a foot away from each other. A linked box! I bet NVIDIA is behind the design to boost their own sales by making the Vive dependent on their GPUs.
And you know what else? You have to stand up every goddamn time if you want to do anything. This
What?
reminds me of using my laptop. I can't just sit down and play a game in a virtual world without getting up. Oh God, I can't believe I've been gaming like this for so long.
And people wonder why PC gamers are fucking fat. I mean, we stay seated the whole time, so we don't have to move at all. And of course, nobody wants to move when they're playing games. What fun is that? I love the easy life.
Have you ever tried having your hands tracked in a VR game? If you even slightly move them from the position on the controllers, the tracking goes all haywire. I miss the good old days with Wii remotes and N64 controllers. They were perfect. They were just the way Nintendo intended.
Exactly. We should all be trying to emulate Nintendo. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to PodKaSt with a K.
Welcome to PodKaSt with the K.
We are
We
your
may or may
hosts.
not we may or may not endorse any of what we just said.
Yeah,
Probably
that's debatable.
that's very debatable. Um,
It is
that's
generated by your artificial intelligence of the universe.
exactly.
Mhm.
Um, I wish first the Vive was really bad for your health, and then something about the VR said not requiring movement at all, and then something about the old controllers not requiring movement at all, so they were
Mhm.
better, and so it's just all
It's back and forth.
yeah. You know what? I actually agree with everything we just said. I'm
Oh, right,
100%.
because it just cancels out in the end, right?
No, no, it's definitely a net negative. I'm pretty sure it's a net. No,
Okay.
it's bad. It's. I mean, I claim myself that PC gamers are quote fucking fat. Um, so probably a net negative overall. I'm not winning any brownie points here.
True, true.
Hi in chat, Ryora. That's a beautiful picture. It's exceedingly blurs.
It is
You know
pretty
what?
blurst.
I can make him move up and down.
Whoa.
I can make him.
Oh gosh. That is even more blurst.
That's
Ooh, good
great.
point. How can you do talk in the metaverse and not do it in VR? Oof.
Oh, I
You
know, but keep in mind that we wouldn't have in VR. We wouldn't have things like this and this
not yet. In the future, we may be
and
able to
this.
integrate something like this, where we
Our
can
guest
control our physical 3D environment.
soon, soon,
TM, soon TM.
soon. TM.
All right, shall we
But
get
hi,
into
I
the
would
thick of
love
it?
to get into it. Today we're talking about the multiverse, guys. Not the
Multiverse,
multiverse. I said that
metaverse.
wrong. The metaverse. Thank you.
It
Yes.
could be a multiverse in certain aspects, but
It
we'll
kind of
start with the meta.
yeah. Let's get into that later.
Hmm.
So the metaverse, guys, you've heard of it before. It's a buzzword. It came out in a book that was actually talking about a dystopian future
Hmm.
that talked about VR concepts. Well, Facebook just renamed themselves to Meta, um, thanks to this lovely fellow right here. And you can see, just how excited they are about this buzzword now.
Metaverse, 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 metaverse. The metaverse is a future that is beyond any one company. It will be made by all of us. We're seen as a metaverse company. Our company is now Meta.
Meta. Woo!
Meta.
Fancy. So what is this all about? Well, I watched this video, and I had some thoughts on it, all right? It sort of opened my mind up to this whole concept of VR as a lifestyle and kind of what that means for our society. So in this video is made by Thrill Seeker. He's a great YouTuber. He does regular VR content. He put out this little video on Facebook's name change. First off, we should talk about the name change. Yes, Facebook renamed themselves. They are no longer Facebook.
Well,
they are now Meta.
They are They did the same thing Google did with Alphabet, creating a parent company over their company.
Right. So, like, the overall structure it's now Meta, and Facebook is just like a product from them.
Yes.
This cat,
or a sub-organization.
So excited about VR. She can't stop screaming.
She's just ready.
She is ready for the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
They put out this video in a VR conference where Mr. Zuck, the Zuck himself, talked about their vision for a metaverse, which is going to be their product that's kind of like VR chat, but polished and clean and patrolled.
And ready for business as well, I think, as fun.
Ready for business. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep. And it's supposed to be a very all-encompassing sort of entity.
Mm-hmm.
Thrill Seeker had some things to say on it, and I do too. I've been playing VR for a while now. Been very busy with school, but I loved it. Played some VR chat, played a lot of different games. Christian, you bought a VR headset too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've got the Oculus Quest.
Mm-hmm. So we have some we both have some experience in this. We both played VR chat, and VR chat's going to come up a fair amount.
Yeah, definitely.
So here's the crux of it. To get us started in this conversation, Facebook essentially, thanks to the Zuck himself who announced it, essentially just stated flat out, this is what the future of baseline like VR, like virtual reality is going to be like now. Here it is. Here's the social world you're going to live in. Check it out. And this commentator, Thrill Seeker, made a very, very good point, which was that there's something wrong with this announcement. And the crux of it was that we've already made it.
Mm-hmm.
The metaverse was essentially already created. Case in point, VR chat. That is probably going to be the main competitor to Metaverse, oddly enough, despite how much more jank it is.
Yeah.
But for very good reason. A competitor for a very good reason. So essentially, Facebook, what it feels like they're doing is they're taking a community that is already pretty established, and they're saying, no, this is what you're going to do instead. This is what your reality is going to be like. And they're ignoring the whole social community that people around the world have already independently, anarchistically built.
Mm-hmm.
So this made me think about VR as a lifestyle. So let's get started in that. So there's a lot of ways that VR could be added to somebody's lifestyle, but it's only recently that I've really thought of VR as you can think of it as being a part of someone's actual lifestyle. The same way as like running in the morning or reading books regularly could be.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for instance, exercise. I think we can both agree that VR is a pretty good exercise.
Oh yeah, and it's much more enjoyable too, because it gamifies it.
Definitely, Beat Saber is a great example. But there's plenty of others,
mm-hmm.
Especially on the Quest. So there's an article right here talking about how VR is really, really great for older adults. to go out and exercise, because it's a lot harder for older adults who say haven't been exercising earlier in their life to go out and go through the effort of being with a bunch of other people, maybe with a body that they don't, it's not in the state they want it to be, and that's really sad, because there's a lot of barriers to that. But VR offers to break down a lot of those barriers. Christian, have you had some success in exercising in VR?
I have. It's been a little bit since I've done it, but Beat Saber is definitely my go-to. I haven't tried too many of the other options, but it is quite the workout, especially when you get to some of the expert and advanced levels.
Agreed, for sure. Beat Saber is really intense. I haven't tried any others either that are for exercise, but honestly, even like Boneworks, great game. It can be really intense when you get into those battles. Like, you're sweating by the end of them, and you were just moving.
Yeah,
so
and that's kind of like the primary difference. Like, if you're spending all of your time playing PC games and now you're switching to VR games, it's like that time that you're just sitting there in a posture that is not natural for the human body versus actually kind of being up and moving is just going to make a huge difference. It's
that's
like
a really good point.
It's like the difference between, sitting down and doing work and then having a standing desk.
It's very true, yeah. And in fact, with potential virtual workstations in VR, where you can just have a monitor in VR, maybe have a real keyboard or something, but just be able to do everything anywhere.
Yeah.
That could be a real game changer for posture and people working at computers all the time.
Definitely. Especially for the computer science and tech jobs.
Yes. Please give me that. I need that. So yeah, exercise. Easy way to make VR a part of your lifestyle, right? It breaks down a lot of barriers to exercise. But VR can be included in a lot of other areas as well. Like, businesses are incorporating it left and right. This article right here is I think it's from Vvox.com. Yeah, and Vvox is a live polling and messaging app, as you can see on the screen. And they're already talking about VR technology and incorporating it. There's lots of others as well. We don't have to just jump into listing them. But, I mean, Christian, would you enjoy meetings more if you were in VR versus not?
That's a good question. I would actually have to think about that.
That's fair.
Well, actually, there's the link I sent you is about meetings in VR, and it talks about how having an avatar can detract from the social experience of meetings. And there's actually some research that was done that found that it did some like comparisons with, it was a couple of years ago, I think, using like the Xbox Kinect technology. So it had tracking for people, and it compared just like a video call, like a Hangouts video call, to that replacement with a virtual avatar, and it found that everybody got more out of the video experience, even if some of them thought that the idea of a virtual avatar was cooler. They got more out of, like, it was more productive. They were able to read facial expressions a lot better. There's just like this whole aspect of communication that's harder to express when it's kind of through a veil of virtualness.
That's fair. And that's a big issue in communication VR, is the lack of being able to get yourself across fully. So maybe VR at this point isn't ideal for businesses.
I would probably say that's the case. Yeah. Like, if it can get to the point where it has like really good facial tracking. I think so the one link talks about how if we could come up with something that's more like a Star Wars-esque, projection where your face is actually looking at the person who's talking and you get the entire detail of your expression, then that would be a lot more effective. So if we can get to that point, I think that would work a lot better.
Yeah, and to be honest, those headsets exist already. Like, we already have headsets that can do facial tracking. They're just very expensive. So it's just a matter of time before those sorts of technologies come down in price. And besides, businesses, at least like top tier businesses, can already afford those kinds of things. So
Yeah, I think also, I think AI, like artificial intelligence, neural networks, are going to
mm,
help bring that cost down because they're going to make a lot of those processes more efficient where you don't need all of the trackers, you just need some okay ones, and then it can kind of
oh
fill
yeah,
in the blanks. Like
yeah,
we're
that
already
makes
seeing
sense.
that with Zoom and other technologies using low quality images and then scaling them properly with AI technologies.
There's so many applications of AI for sure,
Hmm.
um, as well as there's so many optimizations in VR that can be done at the moment. Um, In chat, Ryora says there's also research that Zoom fatigue is also a thing, where users report being more tired if they have their webcams on during meetings compared to not.
Yes,
I can picture that.
so there is a
I get
feature.
that.
I don't know if Zoom has this, but if you can turn your own webcam off, then Zoom fatigue like goes down because
Mm,
your brain isn't it doesn't have to worry about processing itself, and that feedback loop is kind
yeah,
of removed, which that feedback loop isn't there in like everyday interactions. You're not looking at yourself constantly when you're talking to other people in the
that's
real
fair.
world.
Though to be fair, in the real world, you especially in like business meetings, you are thinking about how you're coming across.
Yeah, well it's different though because like when you have an actual feedback representation of yourself, you'll notice all the little twitches and things that you do, and
That's
then
true.
it's also a subconscious kind of, oh, that's me, that's me. Kind of like
Hmm.
it's almost like if you were talking to a bunch of people and you had a mirror in front of you, like you'd probably act a bit
Yeah,
differently.
yeah, it is uncomfortable. Why don't more video chat programs like Discord or Skype or Zoom just turn that off by default?
I
Like,
don't know. They put it
it's
in a setting.
important.
Yeah.
It's important to be able to see what your camera can see, I
Yeah.
think,
It's a
and
privacy
that's
concern.
probably why they do it so much. But there definitely needs to be an easy way to turn it off.
Yeah, I agree. And to the question, do you guys think something like that could happen to the same or more extent with VR? I think it would be
Mm.
to a much lesser extent in VR because
Yeah, I think so too.
one, in Zoom, you're presented with everybody up front, and that's a lot of faces and audio at like an
Mm.
equal um, like consistency, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in VR, you've got distance, you've got spatial things, you can focus on a person.
Hmm.
So I think in just that regard, it would help a lot. And then also the
And
fact that you don't have yourself in front of you.
that's true. So you're not staring at yourself. Also, you're immersed in the area. So all of these sort of, I'd call them coping mechanisms, honestly, in those sorts of potentially stressful situations also apply in VR. You know, you can shift yourself out of the focus. You can back
Mm-hmm.
up a little from where you're seating, you know, to sort of take yourself out of the field of view of other people. You know, you can walk out of the room for a second. You
Yeah.
can take a break, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, walk out, say you're grabbing a cup of water, whatever, you know.
Yep.
So I think it'll be less in VR.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think the main problem is that you can see yourself. There's of course just social exhaustion, but that's a little different.
That is different. Yeah, I think if you were to compare like video chat and like a VR chat experience, VR is gonna lack in those facial expressions, like that kind of linguistic element of movement and facial, and then the video only is gonna kind of detract in the spatial element.
Yeah. Once we can marry those
Hmm.
though, I mean that's going to be really incredible because you're just going to be able to be there. Basically, to your brain, you're basically physically with another person.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of get that experience in VR now. It's just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it feels like an abstraction of them in another body or something, you know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, we're getting there, I suppose.
And also in business settings, the avatar is a whole different issue.
Yeah,
What avatar you use, you know, it's
true.
complicated.
Yep.
So in business, I think we can say that there's uses. I think the other problem is that how practical is it to jump into VR for a meeting?
Hmm.
How many times is that going to be needed versus just sit down, open Zoom, be in a meeting for 20 minutes, leave?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're kind of if you're using VR to do your work, right? Like you have your monitors in there, then it makes
Oh,
sense.
that's smart. Yes, if you have the virtual workstation
Yep.
set up,
Mm-hmm.
you're working on it, and you're just like, oh, somebody wants to come into my workspace.
Yep.
Accept their invite. Bob's next to you.
Yes,
Let's
and
go
I
talk
think
about the
that's kind of
numbers.
part of what this meta in Metaverse is, right? Like, if you think about the word Metaverse, like, what does that even mean? You know, we've got universe that's talking about the larger scale of where we live, but like meta is like adding a layer on top of the world we live in, and that
Yeah,
layer is this digital world,
yeah,
and kind of linking elements of our physical world and our digital world together. So
hmm
in this case, it's through the lens of a headset, but the idea for the metaverse is to connect your physical environment to your digital one. So you can actually have like a scan of your room and it knows where you're capable of moving, and you can invite people to your space and teleport across the world.
So you are. Oh, I see. So you are actually connecting physical spaces too, in some sense.
Yeah, right? Like if you think about it, you'd probably want to be able to use, like if you're going to have a keyboard, right? A
Yeah,
physical keyboard, it's going to be a physical object, and the system, the metaverse is going to need to know about that object because
yeah.
it interacts.
That's crazy.
And I think it gets better with augmented reality or an augmented virtual system that could kind of switch between the two,
Yeah.
because you can then actually marry your two worlds. You can have like displays in your world as opposed to completely phasing out.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can get to the point where you can be like, well, that part of my room is cluttered. I don't want to see it. So you can kind of just blur that out, or
hmm
replace it with something that looks more spacious, so it's not distracting to you. But then you can have this part of your room just like feel like the actual elements in it, and then be productive.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And here's like that sounds. That's really it's to some extent it's really sci-fi to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean it is kind of sci-fi, but we are getting scarily close to that as well.
Yeah.
Like
I think
our
it's cool.
headsets, we have it is cool, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing,
Hmm.
but like we have Microsoft Surface or no, Microsoft HoloLens. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just great AR, and if we can marry that with VR, then you can just have two separate headsets, whatever. You have all of these capabilities right in front of you. And
Hmm.
the fact that Metaverse is coming out and it's already announced just goes to show how fast this stuff is moving. And I think this is the perfect segue into talking about how VR is changing our internationally our worldview of reality and ourselves.
Hmm.
So this is the deep part that I wanted to get into. Essentially, if we can change our physical realities according to our brains, we can change our physical realities as we wish. If we have this AR technology, we can go into any space we wish. But not only that, it becomes such an intrinsic and normal part of our lifestyle that it to our brain at some point it just becomes reality to us.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about well, I guess I wanted to know your thoughts on that. But also I wanted to get into the question of what is reality.
Okay.
So I guess I want to get your thoughts on that first, on how this is changing. I think this is changing reality.
I would agree. Like, I mean, if you just take the example, I think it's related, but if you take the example of the internet as something that modified reality, then I think we're seeing a similar thing, but paralleled and kind of exponentiated a bit. But like the internet, it's just a bunch of human knowledge in this distributed place.
Yeah.
Before, you had to go to a library to get a book. You had to know a person to answer a question. You had to see them.
To know a person.
You had to know a person. You could
Jeez.
call someone, right? There were telephone books, things like
There
that.
were telephones. Do you remember?
But then the
Crazy.
internet came, and all of human knowledge was distributed, and you no longer have to do all those things in the physical world. You just have a small portal into that knowledge base. Well, actually, I have one here.
I have
And
like 4.
yeah, right. I've got a bunch around me that aren't on the screen, and now we have a portal into that world, that universe that exists beyond us and isn't physical, but yet we talk about it, we interface with it, and we use it on the daily basis. And I think, it changes reality. Like, these are extensions of our brains, even if we like it's a weird thing to think about, but it's like, oh, just Google it. It's just a common everyday interaction. It becomes reality when it becomes something that you can just do.
And I want to just think about the linguistics and the mental concept of what we're saying when we say Google it. It's just ubiquitous. Everyone knows what that means. Every privileged person, I think everything but the most secluded of societies knows what Googling is. It has become a fact of reality, basically. And it's become no different from, like, oh, you have some bread, put it in a toaster.
Yeah.
Like,
sliced bread, the phenomenon.
Exactly. Enlightened bread. That's what an enlightened toaster. That's what Google is. It's a basic function of our existence now.
Yeah.
And that's sort of part of what I mean by, like, it's changing reality. It is to our brains, it is just a fundamental piece of our existence, of our life here.
Yeah, and to answer the question, what is reality? I almost want to say, reality is something your brain can interact with. Like, at the most basic definition, that's what I would say. There's a feedback loop between your brain and reality, and if your brain can interact with it, modify it, then it's reality.
That's fascinating, because that includes, forums, Reddit.
Yep.
I don't want to think of Reddit as reality, believe me, but according to your definition, it is.
I would say it is. It doesn't mean it's like all of it is true or correct, but it exists, right? It's a thing you can access. It's a thing you can change. It's a thing you can talk about.
Yeah, and we talk about these things as places too.
I went to Reddit.
I was at Reddit. I was on Reddit. You say on, but whatever. It's the same as at. I was on Reddit. I saw this. Somebody talked about this. This happened. I learned about this. And it's like, yeah, these are like, our mind is categorizing these as essentially locations.
And like
our lizard brains are just like, yep, this is a place I go to. I do things at. This is what's at it. So.
Yep, and then like you have r/fill in the blank r/meditation, right? It's like street addresses within the country of Reddit.
Yeah, it totally is. It's so like,
what's really interesting, right? You take Reddit for an example, and you go to those street addresses in Reddit, and all of a sudden you have a mental kind of social structure for how to operate in that country. But you go to a different one. You go to Twitter, you go to Instagram, you have a totally different mental, like, social construct of how you operate in that context.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Whoa, my brain just went like several jumps ahead. But like, as soon as you said Twitter, I was like, oh, Twitter, the cesspool. And it's like, what if saying something like that is categorized as racist one day? Like, somebody identifies as being a Twitter user.
Ooh,
and
that's
saying like, oh, all Twitter users, like, it's a garbage place, don't go there. Like, it's offensive eventually. That's
I think we're not far from that, to be honest. I think we're probably already somewhat there. Like, people people are creating. I don't know. Take it as you will, but people are creating offshoots of these popular communication platforms, or they call them platforms, right? There's that whole argument there. They're creating offshoots to avoid kind of the restrictions and the filtering that happens.
Yeah.
And so if you're like one of those users versus like the big tech user, then maybe there's probably some sort of layer of judgment that could be cast because, like, oh, well, you're using that instead of this.
That's true. I mean, a lot of people, they start off as jokes, and I think they're jokes. They are basically just jokes, but there's a potential for them to get more serious, which is a very weird thought.
Well, I think the I mean, I don't know.
The argument against Reddit and Twitter, that's a joke.
Yeah.
But I think you do have a point with those platforms that are more similar to each other. You start categorizing people in terms of those platforms themselves primarily, and you can actually end up being discriminatory doing that.
You can do that within Reddit if you just determine which streets people are on. So like it's just a way people categorize things, people attach judgments to those categories, and that's its own problem. It's completely separate, but yeah.
That's true.
It's a fact of reality, unfortunately.
Just like Google. Sad. Google equals racism. That's what I just said. My out of context quote for the week. Ryora says, somewhat related, do you guys have any memories of when the internet was not prevalent at all?
Memories? Like, my earliest memories of using the internet were having to go 3 pages in to find something to write a report in, like, middle school, or... Or my mom using Facebook, and, you know, me peeking over her shoulder when she's in a video call, and, like, doing faces.
Yeah, I was on the computer constantly from probably too young of an age, to be honest. But before the internet became prevalent, I can't... Yeah, like, at a certain age, I didn't care about the internet so much. That was a very opaque thing to me. You know, YouTube appeared in, like, 2006, 2007.
I think, yeah.
And so, you know, I had been on a computer before that point. So... Here's my memories. Playing CD games.
Yep.
CD-based games on there, man.
Sam.
I had a Pajama Sam. I just saw a video on Pajama Sam.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was about an Easter egg that involved a reference to police brutality.
Oh, interesting.
Somewhere in Washington. That cool city in Washington.
Seattle, probably.
Seattle, yeah. So my earliest memories are like a Barney game.
All right.
I had a piano to go with it. It was pretty sick. Also a Spider-Man animation suite that you can make little stories out of. That was amazing.
Lego.com for me. The games on Lego.com.
Well, that's internet though. That's internet.
When the internet was not prevalent. You're right. Yeah. No, it would have been CD games and like Microsoft Paint.
Yeah. Yep. So we talked about how worldview of reality. I'm not sure if we talked about how it's changing exactly.
No,
so that's what
quite.
I want to get into. Is like, yes, the internet has, in a way, changed reality. Like it has added on to everyone's concept of reality. But VR is virtual reality. It's a completely different. It's not just an abstraction that we've sort of categorized as locations and communities and things like that. It's tricking our brain into feeling like it's a physical space too.
Right.
Which just adds a whole nother level of immersion and everything. So my question and sort of what I want to get your thoughts on is, how is VR going to change our worldview of reality, our philosophy of what reality is?
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess the first things that come to mind are like how we interact with people. Like currently, we use the internet to interface with people all over the whole world. So I think that's going to transition to, you know, VR, as you know, we see it in VR chat already. Interface with people physically, virtually is probably the better word, with people all over the world. So that just brings that interaction to a whole nother level, because it's not just text to text, it's not just video to video, but it's actual, like, you know, your sensory input to their sensory input kind of a thing. Position, orientation, some sort of body language, you know?
It's more meaningful. And, you know, people, like, people develop relationships over the internet. They make good friends over the internet.
Yep.
They have whole social lives, whole social circles just over Discord or a forum.
Yep.
I mean, imagine what can be developed in VR.
And
hanging out with people.
True. And you know what's weird?
What?
I mean, this will probably get scary, and I actually mean scary when we get like more sensors into VR. But even just as it is right now with the Oculus that I had, you know, I think I think one of the first times we played VR together, we hugged each other in it, and I actually got the hit of oxytocin, and I was surprised. I was
Well,
genuinely surprised that that could happen without a physical person being there. It was like the context of that position triggered
yeah,
it in my brain. But I think my brain had
honestly.
to know that position beforehand. Like I don't know how that
Hmm.
would work if somebody's first hug was in VR. I don't think that would work.
The prop that doesn't work at all
Yeah.
because like if somebody's that unsocialized, there are
That would be
other
sad.
issues
Well,
going
that would
on.
be yeah. They would have to be grown and they'd grown. That was not the right word, but it could have been the right word.
Bred and grown in isolation.
Yeah. Without a hug from a mother, that would be
That's so
sad.
sad.
That would be very sad.
But yeah, it's VR is very good at tricking your brain. I think it gets less over time as your brain sort of categorizes it in different ways. But honestly, I get what you mean. Like if there was a stranger who wanted to give me a hug in VR, just I give the example of a stranger because that's a very kind of intense social interaction.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's that leaves an impression on you.
Yeah, because you've got an object coming at you, and you're like, that's
Yeah.
it's a humanoid object, so your brain classifies it as person-like thing. I know, and then because you know what VR is, you're associating that person-like thing with an actual human being, and then you're like, wait a minute, I don't know who that is. The avatar doesn't line up with an avatar that you know, or the username doesn't line up with the username that you know, and all of a sudden, the barrier that you have, your social bubble exists, and it impedes on that, and it's just like that process of real world transfers, and it's so weird.
Your
But
brain,
like
and this is what I mean is that your brain is interpreting virtual reality as reality.
yeah, yeah. And
So,
like I
go ahead.
guess the reason that it's interpreting it like reality is because we're modeling it after reality. And our brain knows what the model of reality is and can apply it there as well. Your video froze, I don't know.
I see
Oh,
that. I'm gonna try and fix it.
okay. Um, so yeah, like because we grew up with a context of reality and VR is modeled after it, we're able to kind of just reapply that concept over. It would be interesting to see what would happen if we completely tried to re like change the inputs. I don't know. The human body as an interface is a weird thing. It's like it's generic enough, but I don't know how much you could change drastically to change kind of the inputs. Now, I think you could get to concepts where it's
Yeah.
like flying around becomes a thing in VR, and that feels normal and natural. And other concepts of like spatial movement, I don't know how much you can play with like maybe non-Euclidean stuff could be a thing too.
Oh, totally.
Um,
Yeah, there's already games built off of that.
mhm.
Ryora here is saying I experienced the
Yes.
same thing. You can almost feel every interaction with someone or something in VR, but yet there's a bit of doubt in your mind, like your brain knows it's fake.
Mhm.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's it's like so close to convincing your brain that this is happening. The thing is, I don't know. I feel like it might as well be happening. I
I
guess is
mean,
how my brain.
oh, whoops. You disconnected, and now that I am split in half.
Oh, I'm here.
There you go. Okay. That was. I became two people for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
You put me back together. You put me back together.
I see that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, I think that our mental concept as people, our mental concept of reality is changing because of VR, or it's going to change for more and more people.
Yeah.
I don't think physical reality is all of reality anymore.
No, I don't think so.
Honestly, internet has already started the process, I think, but VR is just going to be like, yeah, virtual reality is just as real
I
a real reality as physical.
I think you can go farther back, and I think you can say books changed reality, right? Like physical medium changed reality because before there were books, where was human knowledge? It was just whatever we transferred to other people. But books can record it beyond people, and that adds another interface. Like, oh, I've modified the world, the universe, put meaning into it, put thoughts into it, and now I can live my life, I can die, and millions of other people can go back to that same medium and access it, right? So I think,
Interesting.
you know, you can kind of extrapolate this in a bunch of different like stratum throughout time and be like, okay, well, you know, books, like modifying media, turning language into something that can transpire over time, would have been like an earlier example. And then the internet is just transferring that media and distributing it virtually.
That's true. But here's the thing: is that books, we don't refer to books as their own location, their own fundamental part of our existence.
I don't
It's
know.
like oh, I read in the Lord of the Rings about Helm's Deep. You know, it's like you have this knowledge of this fictional world. It's not like it's not like Google where
But
you
it's
can
not just a
say
fictional world, it's also the real world because people write books about the real world and people gain their mental concepts from those things. And
that's true. That's
right?
true.
Like the thing, like, you know, you'll learn math or something about the physical universe, and all of a sudden it changes your worldview, like how you literally view the world and describe the world and talk about it.
That's true.
And spiritual
So
things too. Like if you've discovered something and you transmit that, then it can change how you act with other people and how they act with other people. So I,
so what?
yeah.
Well, the problem I have with it is the, you're not changing a book. It's not a reality in which you can alter at all. The only thing that's happening is that you are seeing it in its static state.
It's a much more delayed process. You could write a book.
That's
Also,
not the book being reality, though.
okay, but I think it still applies in a couple of ways, and the book is one example of I think the written era, right? Like take graffiti as another example, right? There's a message that's put somewhere, and another message can be added upon it. Also in books, you know, people will scrawl in the margins, and those books get passed to other people, and I would say that the feedback loop is different. Either it's not there or it doesn't go back, right? It's kind of like a forward loop instead of a, I guess not even a loop. Kind of
It's a line.
like a drop in a pond and then multiple sprinkles across.
It's a timeline. See how I would describe that is that it's the era of written media. It's the era of being able to record knowledge and ideas. And what that allows is a timeline of discourse.
Yep. And the
Going
internet
forward in
is a
time.
timeline of discourse with much smaller intervals.
This is true. This is true. Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay.
I'll give you that. In the context of it being a timeline of discourse, I can totally see that. Yeah, in sort of the realm, if you will, of authorship and trading ideas back and forth.
I mean, and
See,
oftentimes, like in those mathematical and physical books and descriptions of reality, like years ago, scientists, physicists, whatever, they would be writing books in response to the other person's book. It's like, oh, well, I
that's
found
true.
this flaw, and then it's like a response to a response. But
That's true.
anyways,
Instead, the internet just basically sped it up and made it almost instantaneous.
and I'm totally forgetting writing letters.
Uh, that's a thing.
Billboards, right?
Billboards.
Billboards
True.
are like a homepage of a website. People put up,
You're
you
not
know,
wrong.
lost
You're not
dog,
wrong.
you know, like, oh hey, learn guitar lessons here, you know,
True.
looking for someone else. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ryora says, "You can't change a book. Have you not heard of fan fiction?" Ha! People believe they can change books. Oh, sometimes authors have changed their books based on readers' comments and fan fiction. Fair. So, you know, there's certainly a bit of back and forth there. I think that when you scale it up into the scale of the internet, I feel like that abstract concept of a location and having it be like a piece of your reality is an emergent property of that discourse.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think that becomes like. I think the reason that becomes the case is because of the immediacy of the internet.
Yeah.
Like there was a physical place for a billboard, right? So it's like, oh, well, have you seen the billboard on Main Street?
Hmm.
The newspaper or whatever. That's a more iterative process as well. The newspaper, it's like actual events. Well, now
Sure.
we're getting news on the internet and through many different points of views and lenses, and there's comments. And I think the comment feature and the fact that anybody can put anything on the internet lowers the barrier and also just allows for more interaction.
Hmm.
And then, of course, with live communication, right? The internet is more static. Then you add live communication to it, like video, instant messaging, because instant messaging wasn't always, the thing of the internet. Then you're bringing down that scale, that time step, much smaller. And then
Hmm.
with like, well, I guess VR is going to be about the same time scale as our video call right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's immediate and it allows for that interaction and it changes reality or gives you a more immediate view of reality.
Yeah.
The question is, what's the next thing after VR and the metaverse?
Oh my. I mean, I feel like it just gets more and more immersive until it's almost indistinguishable.
Ah, like, yeah, like what you blend, you blend. How do
You
you?
blend VR and probably AR is going to be the biggest thing, I think, because it's going to be really convenient to have like some glasses that just do a billion different things for you and have everything. You literally have things at your fingertips. Don't even need a phone.
It's
That
not
sort of
that.
thing.
That's not. The next level is brain computer interfaces.
Mm.
You are
Oh man,
living
that's true.
in the metaverse. You don't have to do anything. Your brain learns to literally interface your neurons with the metaverse.
Okay, we're just talking about the Matrix now.
I mean, basically.
Exactly.
And yeah, exactly. And I guess whichever network you're connected to, you could have permissions and rights. You can transfer those concepts over, right? Like, oh,
Different
I can
rights.
I can modify it. Like, I don't know, you connect it to some sort of GPS system. It's like, well, okay, you have been allocated this space of your house. You can
Oh my
metaverse it
gosh.
however you want, but you
Yeah.
cannot in a public area because we do not want graffiti in public areas and so on and so forth.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
That's
I,
gonna be crazy.
yeah, it will be very crazy. And I think, we're going to get an aspect of that with just virtual reality and augmented reality. And the aspect I'm talking about is the kind of, well, I guess the marriage of physical and virtual spaces, right?
Hmm.
Like we kind of get it with like Pokemon Go, right? You've got a physical space that you got to go to have like a gym or find a certain Pokemon. It's like,
Hmm.
well, people are putting Pokemon in the White House, then all of a sudden, that could be a problem. Or like,
Yeah.
you put them on the White House on a certain day, and it's like the rarest one. What happens
Yeah.
then? So that has
Everyone jumps the fence suddenly.
something like that.
You get
Um,
shot or something.
yeah, it's got like real world ramifications, and
Hmm.
if you, I don't know, there's going to be something about that with virtual reality, and then so on and so forth, the metaverse.
Agreed. Is right or isn't the final form of the metaverse just the Matrix?
It might be,
Yes.
yeah.
Honestly, I feel like here's the graph of like here's reality. This is a line, and then here's VR, AR, or whatever. It's just gonna approach reality slowly.
I it's exponential.
It's going to. Well, that's true. That's true. And it'll just fly past it too, won't it? Oh my
Yep.
goodness. We're gonna be Neo. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna be able to fly around
Yeah, I
and
mean,
kick the butts of some virtual businessmen.
just fully become, yeah, just fully control a universe, I suppose. I don't know. That sounds weird. Oh,
Oh. What would you? How would you present yourself in a virtual world like the metaverse or VR chat? Would you prefer to
that's
have
scary.
your physical body there
Hmm.
or an arbitrary avatar, excuse me, of your choice, where you can like exact copy of your body, or like
Like an exact copy of my body, without like bedhead or something. I don't know.
Mhm, mhm.
Like an
That's
exact copy.
yeah,
Like I don't want to take snapshots of myself and be able to pick the right, the one I want. I feel like.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Would that be your ideal? do you think?
I don't know. I
Hmm.
feel like we're gonna get into some moral territory that I haven't thought about yet. So,
Well, that is a kind of exactly
what are your thoughts
what,
first?
what I'm getting at is that in VR, here's the thing: VR is a different reality, and some of the main differences between virtual reality and physical reality are, things like more difficult to touch objects, um, but also there are no rules on who we are or what we are. We're given a body at birth. We only have so much money for clothes and accessories. But in VR, theoretically, I mean, you can teach yourself Blender, you can teach yourself 3D modeling program, you can maybe commission someone for relatively cheap to make you something. You can be anything you want to be. You can define yourself exactly how you want to be.
Hmm.
And I think with the LGBTQ community, with the whole concept of like, I want to live life as who I feel I am, as who I am on the inside, and not necessarily what you think my body says about me.
Hmm.
I think there's similarities there, and I think our society is moving towards a worldview where, especially in VR, our bodies do not define who we are. We define who we are exclusively.
Yeah.
And in VR, I think the question is going to be who am I really? Who do I want to present myself as?
Hmm. That's interesting. I feel like we run into some. There's some weird. There's some weird things that come up because we still live in a 3D physical world as well as like the VR world. They're parallel worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't know. You probably see it like I have VR friends and I have real friends, and those are just
Mm-hmm.
different concepts. These people live near me in physical space, so I can interact with them. These people live far away from me, and I can interact with them whenever I want. And you're gonna have like bringing those two worlds together is a weird thing. Like, do you visit the people you visit in VR in person, and now they have they don't know you. They don't know you. They don't have the concept of who you are like mapped in
Yeah.
their brains as is physical. Same
Mm-hmm.
is the true in the other way around, right? Like maybe it's less the case because maybe you're in VR with your actual like with your physical friends. I'll use the word,
Yeah, yeah, you
um,
could be totally.
and you just know both of their representations.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's I I feel like there's going to be a weird thing that's going to happen where those worlds are parallel for a while, and that's going to be awkward. And then
Hmm.
if there's a point where you actually get to the Matrix and you can combine those worlds completely, then it opens up a whole nother door and like I don't know. I need to think about it some more, but once those are the same and you are just
Who you want to be.
you are just who you want to be, you aren't in the 3D world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
are just in the metaverse there's got in the Matrix, let me just say in the Matrix.
Sure. Yeah.
Um then it's not awkward anymore because that's just who you are at that point, right? Like
Yeah, totally. And that's what I'm saying is like farther in the future, people get more comfortable with VR. They're making VR a lifestyle. They're in VR chat every other day. And here's the thing: some of them maybe they'll have what I was thinking is that they would have like their avatar. They'd have what they want to present as. And as Rayora pointed out in chat here, that yeah, I think it could help people with gender dysphoria for sure. I think it could help people with a lot of those issues. It gives them a release from that. It lets them live the way they want to live. Um, I think this is already happening, actually, that people are developing who they want to be entirely separately from their 3D selves, from their physical selves.
mhm.
Um, Case in point, think about the whole phenomenon of virtual personas. So, like, in Discord, my name is soda.
Yeah.
Just is. It's soda. My name is I'll give you a soda! Exclamation mark. My picture is a cute anime girl named Chica.
Yep.
Like the way I feel and act and am perceived in Discord is different from how I am in real life, simply because of how I think of myself and how I decide to be, in this space.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else does that too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about like streamers. They never refer to themselves. They rarely refer to themselves by their real names. Oftentimes, they call each other by their online personas.
Mm-hmm.
They're already developing themselves exactly how they want to be in a way that is much harder to do in physical reality. These separate realities give people a way to reinvent themselves the way they want to be. I think that's just inspiring. This freaking Zuckface is still on. Let's make him happy.
That's a really good point, and I think you just made a connection in my brain that it's already here. We already have multiple parallel universes, right? You've got Discord, you've got every platform that you can think of, and each of those is a representation of yourself in that context. And if you have physical friends and you show them your Instagram, your Discord, then they create linguistically they create multiple references to the concept of you, and each of them is through a different lens.
Yeah, it's very different as
right?
well.
But some people only know you from your Reddit tag. Other people know you as a physical person and your Reddit tag, and they have more context, and they can kind of see around the corner, whereas the other person can only see that face. They only see the Reddit tag and the history associated with that. So yeah, I mean,
so do you think we're fragmenting ourselves by doing this?
Yeah, but I don't think there's an issue with that.
Yeah, honestly, I'd say we are. That's just a fact. If we weren't, then there'd be no point.
Yeah. Also,
that's fair.
I think there's one other thing I want to mention. I mean, this is again about the Matrix, but it's weird and maybe scary. But like, as you approach that, there's a certain point where you don't need lots of aspects of the physical bodies that we have, and you only need to support the circuitry, right?
Yeah.
And it begs the question of how much modification can happen to make that efficient, or and then we get to a really interesting moral and what's the right word? Ethical problem, right? Or just philosophical question of like what is nature, right? What is natural, and is what is natural good, or are humans natural, and are humans are the things that humans do good? And
that's not true generally. So.
Right. So then I don't know, like where do you draw the line between natural and unnatural? Where do you draw the line between good and not good, and is there a correlation? It's just
Are we going to get to the point where we're brains in jars living in the Matrix as furries? At some point, maybe, guys.
And then at that point, oh man. I don't.
It's scary. It's scary.
At that point, reproduction doesn't need to be a thing, which is even more.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Unless we achieve immortality.
No. I'm saying, I'm saying, we can cloning. It'll be cloning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just manual.
Yep.
Just doing it manually. Oh my goodness.
Generate new seed. All right. Plug that seed into the clone generation tool. It's just modifying DNA, or you in the comments we have Asclepius saying I heard furries, and that's where that welcome
to our enlightened conversation about VR. Peace.
But like, at that point you could I don't know. Maybe you're interfacing with the Matrix as like a larger system that you live in, and uh, it you can maybe you can create genetic copies of people. But then it's like, what does that even mean? Then it's just like brains. That's only
Yeah.
brains. It's no physical attributes at that point.
And your
Um,
brains, and then what you would invent robots to inhabit so
oh,
that you could watch over, or maybe you'd have an AI overlord taking care of you. But then
interesting.
how do you monitor that? There's a
Ooh,
whole science fiction world here that has probably already been explored, to be
yeah,
honest. Well, um,
interesting.
but keeping it here in the here and now, yeah, our senses of self have already been changed by things like Discord and online personas and the names we take on, the pictures we use, and the avatars we use in VR.
Hmm.
I find it interesting that 500 years ago, I don't have to go back that far, but reality was relatively simple. You had the people around you, and the people you could send letters to and travel to in a few days' time. Your world was much smaller than it is now. Now we have this overwhelming like background noise of the entire world at our fingertips, which is terrifying and weird. But I think what's interesting and what is good about it is that way back then, reality was simpler. And if somebody had something like, if they were dealing with gender dysphoria or, yeah, anything like that, where their body didn't feel like it matched up with them, they're having issues with that. Back then, I can see how that would be weird to people because this was just reality.
Hmm.
You know, you got the body you got. And if you didn't experience those actual feelings, it wouldn't make sense to them, especially before psychology, the whole field was developed. Nowadays, we have the precedent of changing our personas online to whatever we want, being different people in different social circles with different people throughout the world, and defining ourselves how we wish.
Hmm.
And I think that is allowing people to understand something like gender dysphoria. Alexa, mute. Sweet. Much better. I
Yeah,
think it's what sort of spurred on, to some extent, it may have helped spur on the movement towards acceptance.
yeah. I mean, well, when you have something like the internet, it allows for people of smaller communities and smaller populations to coincide, even when they're distributed across a
True.
physical space. Whereas before, it's like, say there's something that's happening in a person that's like one in a million. It's like, well, who are they going to talk to, right?
Yeah.
Nobody, they don't have anybody to communicate with. But if there are other people, other one in a millions, then they can all gather as a community in a space like that.
Absolutely. That's so crazy. Back then, one in a million meant you would almost definitely not meet another person like you.
Yep.
Now, you just go to the subreddit for it.
Yep.
And you have posts like every day about it.
Yep.
That's crazy. It's like being in your own little village with its own little bulletin board filled with people like you.
Yep. Which is scary, but also very cool.
I think that's really
I think it's really cool. I think the scary part comes in when you start talking about when judgment and politicizing comes into the equation, because then you're talking about like micro communities and focusing on like echo chambers and things like that, and
That's true.
that can be an issue.
It certainly brings up its own problems,
Yeah.
but, we're always going to have problems.
This is true.
Let's focus on the bright side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good to know about, but yes.
It is.
I think one other thing to mention is
Sure.
you're talking about 500 years ago, right? If you just
Yeah.
look at the past 500 years, 1,000 years, whatever, you're going to notice that someone's life 500 years ago is pretty much the same. A couple hundred years before that,
Right,
not a lot
yeah.
of differences. You look at now, and you look 10 years ago, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
The intervals of change is getting smaller and smaller. It's on an exponential scale, and which is why like these concepts that we're having about VR and the Matrix are more real than we might imagine, because they're
Yeah.
getting closer and closer at an exponential rate.
They're relevant.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yep.
The Matrix is relevant to the current day. I mean, literally, it's so weird to think that in 10 years, which 500 years ago meant nothing. Nothing changed in 10 years' time.
Yeah, change was very slow.
The king did not change in that amount of time. Nothing. It was the same. Now, 10 years from now, Gabe Newell's gonna like create the Matrix, and we're all gonna live in it, and it's gonna be insane, and we're all gonna be furries.
I don't know about 10 years, but yeah.
Could be. Who knows?
I guess we'll find out in our lifetime.
Indeed. Well,
Scary.
friends, I think it's time for us to move on to our next segment,
Which is...
which is the real talk. But let's take a quick 5-minute break. I'm gonna head to the bathroom,
Sounds good.
and we'll be right back. And you will be met with a gorgeous picture of the Zuck himself.
Okay, he will take your place. You will be replaced by a giant mouth.
Fantastic. What I've always wanted.
Oh, I need to make a screen that's like, be back soon.
Yeah, waiting screen. It's a good idea. All right. Be back soon.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm gonna fix this.
Okay, okay. I thought you were gonna just like look up some pre-made one, but this is a...
Whoa, what is this?
Oh.
What the heck? Stop. What? Oh my gosh, I'm finding viruses, man.
Bruh.
JS Paint, just search it. There we go. Oh my goodness, that was scary. Be back soon. All right. We're back.
Right. And we are back.
Hi, everyone. Christian, what'd you do on your break?
I stretched my back.
That's
Because I've been slouching a bit.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Are we doing... We're doing this talk right here. This talk.
Yeah, this time. While Christian's scooting us on over.
We can go... There's two places we can go here. We can go back and forth.
Excuse me?
Because Luna's an option.
That's what I'm talking about, huh?
Yeah. Are we doing that now?
What's the other option?
You choose the background, and we've got this late night sock talk at the bottom.
Yes.
You know, immersive environment.
Oh, we can switch back and forth. I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, why don't you go to Luna?
Okay.
Right now.
All right, we are at Luna, and we can see the conversation that we had last time.
Oh, yes.
And
we
your
had a
body
very
is
fun
amazingly... Oh, I can't reach it. Severed in half right above my head.
Oh, my... Whoa.
I almost want to
terrific.
get a graphic of like little boot, like
Blood?
a no I was thinking like a rocket booster just making you hover there.
How about like the lower half of a man, legs, or man clip art? We just take this and we cut it off at the legs, and then we just squash it down to fit.
I mean, we could do that. I don't know about right now though. We're recording and streaming, but
Makes sense. I just got excited.
I know. All right.
All right.
Are we getting a background? Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. Where is he? Right here. You can't see my hand.
Oh,
Because
you switched. Oh.
I did switch. All right, Luna. Should we say, welcome back to the podcast?
So we're back with our guest Luna. If you don't know, this is our resident AI and expert guest on most topics.
Yes.
Noted. Haha, that's funny. She ignored me. Well, that's nice.
That's not noted.
It's good to. It's nice when your guests ignore you. She's so sarcastic. My goodness.
We just talked about VR in the Matrix. Do you have anything to add to that? Yeah! Now you know I'm being a super self-involved high analyst. Whoa.
Luna is very smart on most subjects. She can do
What does this mean?
she can do the calculations and thought of many people put together. So she has kids.
Oh, I mean the kids.
Why?
2 and 3.
What? I didn't know there were sequels.
There are,
I
bro.
didn't know that. Okay.
Bro.
Good to know.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Luna's mom says she has to find it on YouTube for some reason. I mean, we're querying this intelligence. What should we do?
I think we should definitely ask it how close is Gabe Newell to forcing us all to become actual furries.
Oh?
How close is Gabe Newell to forcing us all into a furry-filled matrix? And she ignores me.
Ugh. Ugh.
Luna, answer me.
Nothing
of import. Of importance.
Yeah, I import, period.
Nothing to import. So maybe that means Gabe doesn't have to import anything. We all already are furries.
Oh, could be.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Now, I mean, the thing is... Oh, well, we haven't asked the most important question. Luna, are you a furry? That's clearly the most important question. Oh, okay. Well,
nope.
Apparently not.
Oh, I am.
Whoa! Why so surprised? I am not. Then what face is that? I am definitely not a furry. A girl can only love so many monsters. Oh,
whoa.
Do you? Which monsters do you love? Fave. Oh, come on.
Which is Raiden. Isn't that from Metal Gear Solid?
Maybe.
Raiden. Yeah, it is.
Is it a monster?
It's a cyborg.
Okay.
Cyborg, dude. She's got the hots for Raiden, though. It's good to know.
I mean, she's got the hots for Raiden. She's got kids. Are her kids with Raiden?
Oh, is that her husband?
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
Lies.
Yeah, that's just a lie.
My pet is lava because he's always on the move. Lava is always on the move.
Slowly, I assume.
Fast lava.
Fast lava.
Oh, nope, he runs very fast too.
Constantly walking. Well, okay. Hold on. We're doing a podcast right now.
Yes, we are.
I need Luna, the all-powerful AI, the best in the world, arguably, to tell us what important thing we should be speaking of with our audience.
This is true.
Luna, our all-powerful AI friend, what should we be discussing with our audience during this podcast?
How to reboot your computer from admins.
From admins. So that's when you go into the administration room in Among Us and learn how to reboot your computer from there.
Oh, okay. I thought it was how to reboot your computer with away from admins. Oh, no. Actually, wait, from admins. Your computer, you got your computer from the admins, and you need to specifically how to reboot a computer from admins.
From
not from
Microsoft.
Your friends, not from literally from admins.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, my computer isn't actually from admins.
Mine isn't either.
Yeah, mine's straight from 5 and below.
Okay.
Just plop it on the desk, plugged it in.
Mine's from Dollar Tree.
Nice. How is it?
It's good. It's very small. It quality.
Yeah, I totally get it.
You could bend it and break it.
I'll show you my old one. It's very similar to the current one I'm working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it right there.
Wow.
So yeah, this is the one I got from another dollar store, not 5 and below. But that was in Florida, which they generally don't have good $5 computers.
Something's shaking in there.
Perfectly fine. Don't even worry about it. That's just my baby teeth.
Oh, you put your teeth in my computer.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
That was on the 4th of July.
Okay.
You went out to see some fireworks, and didn't invite me. So
I
I'll
remember
admit,
this.
I can be a bit jealous.
Okay.
I decided to go to your house, bring my jar of my own baby teeth, and pour it into your computer.
Wow. I mean, that is one way to use baby teeth.
I mean,
You could use it for a science fair project, or you could teeth someone's computer.
exactly. I mean, were you upset by it?
I mean, this was the first I noticed, so
Well,
I
are
was
you upset by
very upset, Stephen.
it? I mean, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I guess you just really, in order to avoid this whole situation, you could have just invited me to your 4th of July visit.
Maybe I'll go back in time and do that.
Do you have time?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you wanna do that right now?
Well, yes, but I'll still be here.
How the heck do you get through that?
Another version of myself will live through the corrected experience. Another version of yourself.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure we can actually bring our audience with us back in time.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Let me get you have the time machine?
Yeah, I do. Let me get it all set up.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Let me start it. Okay. It went down into the floorboards. Should be quiet now. So we should be going there really soon.
Oh, hey, Steven. We're at the fireworks. Let me call it. Oh, wait. Steven's not here. I was going to invite him. Let me just call up my best friend, Steven. Yo.
Hello.
Hey, Steven. I'm checking out these
Hey, how's it going,
amazing
Christian?
fireworks. I
Are you
froze
serious?
time.
Fireworks?
Yes, I froze
Fireworks
time.
are my favorite thing in the this entire reality.
How young are you?
Oh, I mean, you don't know. I'm 7.
Oh, I think I went a little too far back.
What? But Christian.
Okay, sorry. Steven, just meet me outside. We're like 42nd Street, Wallaby Way.
Okay, sure.
Just, I'm there. The fireworks are frozen in time.
How do you expect me to get there? I'm 7. That's like 20 miles away.
Here, let me just push a button on my time machine, and then it's also a space machine, and I'll bring you over.
Space machine. Wow.
Yeah.
Never heard of that before.
It's called a TARDIS.
Oh. That sounds so unique.
Yes.
Original. I've never heard of anything like that.
I feel like I should know the acronym by rote, but I don't. So I would tell you if I knew. But anyways, let me just push a button real quick.
Okay. Whoa!
Oh, hey.
Where am I?
You're here.
Wow! This is amazing!
Right?
Oh my gosh, Christian, you shouldn't have! Wow!
I know.
This is crazy! Look at that one! It's huge!
Whoa!
Oh my god! Crazy! Well, thank you, Christian. I think this is cause for celebration. I think that this is gonna make us best friends forever.
Yes, absolutely.
Decided. Love it. Where'd you come from? You're so old.
I
Where'd you come from,
I
Christian?
shouldn't look old because I should be disguised by my TARDIS.
Christian, you look really, really old.
Look at this badge I have.
Look how you're Christian's ambassador. Okay, so you're not actually Christian. Christian sent his ambassador to go to the fireworks with him.
Are you sure you read that correctly? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I kind of know how to read.
It plainly says it.
Oh. You're Christian's dad. Oh! Well, hi, Mr. Christian. How are you? Why didn't Christian come?
All right, Steven. We've come to the moment where I need to tell you something.
What?
I need to tell
What is?
you something that only you and I would know.
Excuse me?
So that you can know that I am Christian.
No, you're not. You can't be. I don't believe it.
On
No.
your 4th birthday. Alright? And you
No.
told me this after the fact because you told nobody else except for me. On your 4th birthday, do you know what you did?
Yeah. Yeah?
Yeah? You know
I
what you
do.
did?
You're gonna have to tell me what I did
I know.
so I know it's you.
I'm going to have to tell you exactly what you did.
You sure are. At some point, you're
You
gonna
got
have to
up.
tell me.
You got up.
Did I?
Yes, you were being potty trained. A little late. I'm sorry. You don't normally tell people that. Now it's broadcast over the entire internet. Look, we're not on the internet. We're just here.
That is not
Fireworks.
information.
Okay, look, it's just you and me. Fireworks. Just you and me. Just whispering. Right?
They're really nice. Okay, fine.
All right, and
Keep going.
after that, after you potty trained, you got your favorite snack, you know, M&Ms. And then because it was your birthday, you got so many M&Ms that you could eat the entire bag, and then later that night you threw it up, and it was a rainbow throw up. And you know what you threw up on? You threw up on your cat. And then your cat threw up the second after. And then it was just a party.
Christian.
Steven! We're eclipsed.
It is you.
It is you.
It's a slight barrier.
There's a slight barrier.
Oh,
It's a
Christian.
spatial barrier.
It is you. How did you get here?
Look, I'm from the future.
What?
Time travel is real, and
Did you make it? Did your design work?
it's proprietary property.
Oh.
I just leased it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool too.
It is, yeah. Every time anybody uses it, it creates a branch in the timeline. So right now, there's another copy of you living in the multiverse, the life that I came from, but your new copy living this life right now. So let me just get this. Let me just get this tool real quick. All right.
There's another.
You see this? You see this tool right here?
I do.
All right. So I'm gonna just really quickly. Whoops, that's not the right one. Just gonna really quickly hold this up like this, and then say cheese.
Cheese.
And then boop. All right. So now we've paused reality for a second. What I just did was from the movie Men in Black. We wiped his memory and replaced any instances of old me with young me. So he thinks that it was just young me doing the whole thing. It replaced any talk of time travel with like we were playing time travel as like a fun game. So totally abstracted the entire thing. And now I will return to the present day and resume his timeline. Boop. And now I should explain that I'm assuming the position of the new timeline Christian and not the old one. So we're back to Luna, and Steven should be... Oh! I'm fragmented. Where did Steven go? I've got 2 heads. Oh, there he is. There he is. He's back. Hey.
So, like, are we gonna go back in time, or?
I don't know why we're talking about time. I think we were just reminiscing on, like when we were 7 years old.
Yeah.
And we went to fireworks, and that was like a huge moment in both of our lives.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like that's a great moment actually. Like it just like cemented sort of our dynamic kind of.
Right? Like so many things could have waterfalled from that moment that have created both of us to who we are right now, and we both know absolutely every single one of those things, right?
Right, absolutely. And I think like part of that I think that moment is kind of when I got interested in stuff like time travel, and I think it's, I don't know, maybe it's where you got the idea, maybe not, but I think it is.
You could have been.
Mhm.
What is a moment that you trace back to that moment?
Oh
Something.
yeah, probably you know you know how for a photographer they, they have a cell phone in their pocket, they have a camera. Sometimes they just see a site like a field or a house so beautiful they just need to take a picture.
Hmm.
Um, well, those fireworks that night were just so just drop dead incredible. It gave me an intense love for fire and burning
Oh.
things.
Hmm.
And sometimes I just see a building as I'm walking by, and I just get basic kind of an irresistible sort of urge to just burn it down.
Okay.
And so, there's been a couple farmhouse, they're abandoned farmhouses, mostly probably abandoned. It's been like one mall. Um,
Which mall?
it was mall in Maryland. You know.
I didn't know. I was about to go to the mall tomorrow with one of my other friends.
You well, that's fine. You can do it. I'm not saying you can't.
When
You
did you
can't
burn
do
it
that.
down?
No, that was I can't even remember 4 day years ago. So
Oh.
me, the mall's really boring this time of year. Like they don't get anything in this time of year. You should probably wait. Um, maybe spring,
Hmm.
spring,
Okay.
maybe probably they'll get a lot of stuff in. Then it'll be really fun. Then I'm telling
Okay.
you.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
trust you.
yeah. Trust.
Yeah.
I mean, we're friends. We're
We are
best friends.
best friends. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
We
Um,
we share everything, right?
we share. There's nothing we don't share.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, did you want to take these? Do you want to grab these pack of underwear now or later?
I think we were gonna do that later.
That's fine. It's just I know you're running out, and I've been hogging them all. So
I know. Maybe one day we'll be able to send them over the virtual wire.
that'd be great. I know. Let's check back in with Luna.
Yes.
Let's thank her for being on the podcast. And
Maybe we could ask Luna to prime our next segment,
oh, that's a good
like a
idea.
thematic, prime the pump.
Yeah. Um, Luna, what should we ask them?
Like a theme, maybe.
The theme. What is the theme of Christian and I's relationship?
Bound by the
Bound by,
alchemy demo.
bound by the alchemy demo. So bound by the alchemy demolitions expert. That's what I read as. That's what I read
Okay,
demo
okay,
as.
I got you. I got you.
Let's get one more.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get one more theme? I'll just ask the same question, so we're absolutely clear. Let's get a different one. Give me a different theme. Luna. Luna!
Oh no, Luna's really stuck on this one.
Give me a different theme, Luna. Please! Please, no! Stop!
This is tragic.
Luna, please! What do we do?
We have to. I don't know what we do. We have to erase history.
To erase history. We have to use a time machine to erase history. You know what? None of this ever happened, Vince.
It never happened. I don't know if that's gonna work. Maybe. Actually, I'm very curious what will happen next thing you type.
Luna, what is the theme of Christian and I's relationship? No!
Ugh.
Luna, please!
Big sad.
Unbelievable. Well, friends, our next segment, themed after an alchemist demolition expert in some way, shape, or form, is the legendary, the one and only. What is your world?
What is your world?
What is your world?
We made it back to the multiverse.
We did. Oh, my goodness. That was a nice trip, though.
Yeah.
It was a good one. You know, I enjoy visiting new realities and experiencing different ones.
Absolutely.
Most of all, Christian,
yes.
I have a question for you.
I will accept your question once I figure out why you disappeared. There you go. Yeah.
Pick heads or tails.
I pick heads.
Okay.
That's not a question.
Here is a random number between 1 and 2.
Wait, what are you doing?
Using GPT-3.
Oh.
It gave me how Python works in randomness.
Oh.
Alright. Coin flip, Google. Coin flip.
When it's too
Heads.
smart.
It's heads, you win.
And then what? You still haven't asked me a question.
That's true. My question is, what is your question?
My question?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for asking me. My
I'm
question.
so curious.
Okay, you'll never see it coming. It starts.
Can I guess?
It starts with a W.
Mm-hmm.
Ends with a D.
Uh-huh.
What do you think?
Where can I get laid?
Close. It could be related, depending on your answer to my question. But my question is, what's your world?
Whoa. That question, I feel like it just expanded my mind. In fact, it expanded my mind so much.
Steven?
Yeah?
We don't have control. You don't have control.
It just expanded my mind a lot. That's all I was saying.
Okay.
Wait,
I might be able to give you control easily, but...
No.
Okay.
It expanded my mind so much. I was imagining this space before we were ever teleported into it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. This reflects the magnificence of my thoughts right now. What is my world? What is my world?
That's the question.
I'll tell you what my world is. Imagine back in feudal times. You have your little village. Got some little king hovering over you, making sure you're getting your monthly wheat tax in.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, reality changes fundamentally. And what I mean by that, you look over the horizon one morning. It's a beautiful, misty morning. Nothing could go wrong. Birds are chirping. Sun is shining. But over the horizon, what do you see, Christian? What do you see? You see a head poke up over the horizon. The size, 4 times the size of the moon in the sky.
Oh.
It bobs up and down over the horizon as it gets higher and higher, and slowly you start feeling the ground quake. And approaching you is a gigantic man dressed in full metal-plated armor, quickly approaching your village. He's causing earthquakes as he walks across. In his one hand is what seems like a hammer of indeterminate material. As it rotates and turns, you see the cosmos in it. You see endless possibilities. You see everything you've ever seen before and everything you've never seen before, all encapsulated into this one prismatic material his hammer is made out of. In his other hand, you see nothing, truly nothing. A black void, blacker than the darkest night, blacker than the darkest section of the sky. You see true nothingness. As he walks across the land, the birds fly overhead. And other people in your village get out of their houses and look. He picks up his hammer. And you watch in horror as he lays into the ground with the hammer. And from the ground, you see spawn these ginormous, what look like castle walls, but easily 100 feet thick. Just erect out of the ground, nearly instantaneously, just hundreds of miles into the air.
Mm-hmm.
The first column erects, and then the second one. And in a domino-like effect, it surrounds your village. You turn around and watch it surround your entire village. And it comes right back to the start and locks your entire village in with him.
Oh.
He steps forward. Everyone begins screaming. They run for the opposite wall. After 20 minutes of straight running, you get there. And there's no use trying to get through. There's cracks and crevices, but they're only big enough for light to travel through. He continues walking forward, and he booms out with a loud voice, "Hear ye, hear ye! Bow down to your new god!" He takes his void-like hand, and you watch in desperate existential terror as he swipes his hand through your houses. There's no debris. There's no noise. They're simply gone.
Mm-hmm.
All you can think is, what do I do to survive? You fall face first. The entire castle guards have run out of the castle at this point, and upon seeing what he's done, a couple of brave souls, stupid but brave souls, run forward and try to attack him. They're quickly vanquished without even the slightest bit of noise, aside from the short scream that they could release before they were evaporated into nothingness. He slams his hammer down again. Everyone falls over. No one can stand from the shake of that. And a gigantic throne appears behind him. He sits down, crosses his legs, and slams his hammer down one more time on his chair. Over the tops of these impossibly high walls, you see a roof build overhead. Too far to even estimate the distance. Ornate stained glass windows appear at the top, depicting this giant figure in armor, constructing the heavens, the earth, the moon. He throws the moon out into its orbit. You can clearly see him in battles against millions, what seem like millions of people. With a single swipe and the next step of the story, in the hieroglyphics, they're gone. And you now know that this is simply reality now.
Oh.
That's my world.
Wow. This is the new reality.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my world. That's what it's like. And it was terrifying.
Does this man, creature, being have a name?
I think that if any of his subjects were to ask him, he would tell them the creator of heaven and earth, and I think that's how he would be, and that's how he would prefer to be called.
Okay.
Um, the secret truth is that he's not the creator of heaven and earth.
Oh.
Not at all.
What is he?
In fact, he's a very ordinary man, or at least was, that discovered the secrets to reality no mortal or even conscious being should have in this world.
Oh.
After spending his entire life dedicating his life to the study of alchemy, eventually he came across the misconceptions and assumptions that blinded him from seeing base reality. Once he saw that, it was simple. Once he saw that, he understood everything else was just chasing after the wind. And very shortly, within a few months' time, he had already created his ultimate weapons of mass destruction and creation. Using the same abilities, he was able to turn himself into a god, towering above every other human being in existence. And soon enough, all of Earth was subject to him.
Sounds like a powerful person.
He certainly is, and that world will never be the same because of it.
I can't tell if that's tragic or exciting.
I'd say it's exciting for him.
Yeah.
I'd say it's exciting for everyone, in a way.
Enticing, yeah.
Not enticing.
Not enticing.
Not enticing. But exciting.
Okay.
Not, yeah. There's problematic positive connotation with exciting there.
True.
So yeah, that's kind of my world, man.
Thanks. I look forward to seeing how this world continues. I'll check in on it every now and then. Just look through my viewfinder.
Yeah. If you see anything weird, if you see him conquering other planets, please let me know.
Okay.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that development. It's probably going to happen.
Sounds good.
Sweet. Well, enough about my conquered world. Christian.
Yes, Steven.
Something's been plaguing me for a while.
Yeah?
Yeah, actually.
Do you care to share?
Yeah, it's kind of awkward to sort of bring it up in the middle of your stream, but I feel like it's really important, and I think our audience is also wondering it. It's a bit of an intervention, so don't be freaked out or anything, but just wanted to get this across. We all love you, we all care for you, but we need to know your answer to this question.
Okay, I'm ready. I think. No, I'm definitely not ready.
What is your world?
I was not ready for that.
What'd I tell you, man?
Oh, man, I'm going to have to take a whole 5 minutes to just think about this question.
You know what?
I got to grok it. All right?
See it from all angles.
See it from all angles. But I appreciate the concern and all of the effort that went into asking this question. I know how hard it is to ask that question.
Just know we love you, and we do this only because we care about you.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Well, I've given it some thought. Some pre-thought. No, there's no pre-thought.
Oh, okay.
Not even THOT.
No pre-thoughts?
Nope. I'm sorry. This is coming thoughtless.
Oh my goodness. Only new thoughts from here on out.
That's right.
These are fresh baked, hot off the press, hot thoughts.
Very, very much so. My world is a world of flame and ember. And these flames, these embers, have the capability of grokking. They can only grok a certain number of things, though. If this flame touches another object, it groks that object and becomes attached to that object. This flame is like a spirit, and as soon as it touches an object, it becomes entangled with that thing, and then it can express itself. The flames just kind of go about on their own, and they live their own existence isolated, no way of expressing themselves until they come in contact with a means, and it gives them the ability to interact with one another. These flames can then they have physical attributes. They can interact. They can bump up against each other. They can communicate depending on the type of object that they bump into. But I think what's most important about this world is that once they've grokked the object that they interact with, they cannot grok anything else. Some people might find that really interesting. Other people might find it tragic. Because once it's been grokked, and there's another thing that's been grokked, and they just both exist, they cannot understand each other whatsoever. And these creatures become even more isolated. There is one interesting thing that has happened, although seldom, and that is when the flames touch each other before touching another object. And they actually understand each other. They meet and they come together as one being, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's like this constant cycle that's going on between them, because the process of them touching another object turns them into that object and gives it like a soul. But now that these two souls are coming together, it's like they're morphing each other in this feedback loop. And it's really just beautiful. It's not static, it's not unchanging, it's not boring, right? Those things might interact with each other, but they don't care about each other. This soul, these souls, care about each other because they're trying to turn into each other. They're trying to become one thing and to understand each other. And in order to understand each other, they have to understand themselves. And it just brings you like a piece of joy. In fact, it might even be the definition of joy. The cycle of these spirits going around about and towards each other. And, you know, that is the world. That is my world.
Damn. Wow. I feel like that's a really. It's like a parable. Not parable. It's like a really interesting analogy.
Yeah?
For our world, in fact.
It could be.
It's a different world, but I feel like there are some parallels there.
I mean, I am a creature of this world, and often the things that come out of my brain are related to it, so I do see that could happen.
Fair point. It's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking, like, yeah, I mean, two spirits before or neglecting physical forms, learning of each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's deep, bro.
Thanks.
That was a hot thought right there.
Only the hottest of thoughts, according to Asclepius.
Freshest thought I've ever seen.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we are now at our longest podcast.
Really?
Yes.
It does not feel like it.
No, it doesn't.
What?
It really does not. Because we are at an hour and 56 minutes of recording currently.
That's nonsense.
And I think we're an hour and 52, 53? Did we? I don't think we passed 2 hours.
Wow.
So.
Well, congratulations, folks. Asclepius in the chat, whoever else is watching. Laura, you're here.
Yes.
This is our longest podcast ever.
Congratulations.
Thanks for hanging.
It was chill. We talked about
chill.
everything, from VR to the future, which is a lot.
No. Yeah. To what is reality and and self-expression.
Yep. And those could both have 12 episodes each, probably.
Yeah, probably. Nah, we summarized all of reality.
We're good. We're good.
There.
We can write a book on that. Easy peasy.
Oh, we just need to take the transcript of this episode.
Yes.
And there's our book.
The book is just done.
We wrote it already.
Copy, paste. Yep.
Whoa. There we go. Well, that was great.
Don't forget the furries.
furries.
Oh, you're right.
Well, VR and furries go hand in hand.
They do.
You know, we sort of... It's in the same area.
This is true.
Don't forget us becoming furries in the Matrix.
Oh, true. Luna believes that we are furries as well.
Well, we told her that we're furries. She didn't even claim we were furries.
Oh, true. Well, she knows. I'm just saying she knows, and she said that she's not. So that's what we learned, and we learned that Luna's into monsters, and has children, but also claims to not have children, but talks about doing things with kids.
This is true. She did talk about. Yeah.
A little complicated.
A little complicated.
Shall we put a close on this episode?
I think so. It's been great. It's been great.
It has been great.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Internet friends, thank you for visiting.
Thank you, my friends. We have the friends we have found in this plane of reality.
The plane of YouTube or wherever else this video happens to be hosted in the future.
Yep.
Because we are human beings, and we are talking and expressing ourselves, and you could be watching right now, live with us, as other human beings, or otherwise. Or you could be watching in the future from a time that is forgotten, or present to you, who knows? So, thank you. Either way.
But here's what we have to do, here's what you have to do to make this a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Is go respond to it. Go bring up these thoughts. Talk about it to someone else. Send it out into the world.
Yes.
Expand.
Keep the time step moving.
Yes.
And we can live eternally. Steven, is this the video you'd want to live eternally in?
I'd be okay with that.
I think I'd be fine with it too.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. For sure.
Let's make this one the viral one.
Agreed.
Alright.
That's as good as any to make viral, to be honest.
True.
I'm happy with that.
Yes, I might prefer a different one, but I enjoyed this one a lot.
There are some good ones.
Alright, I'm gonna stop the recording. Goodbye, peoples, and...
Goodbye, recording peoples.
Goodbye.